Robots are seeping more and more into our lives. We don't even notice how robots surround us. Cameras, tracking systems, work in factories, service in restaurants. But have you ever thought about humanoids? The development of human robots has been underway for more than 1 year. And over time, it becomes more difficult to distinguish them from a real person. Humanoids are made for completely different purposes. But what awaits humanoid women? Using female charm, they can work with anyone. But of course all the men thought about the sexual plan of humanoids. And there is also such a variant of their use. But who knows what people will do with humanoid women? So until we can find out if humanoids will replace us with women. And what do you think? What fate awaits female humanoid species? Write your opinion on this in the comments. Ameca was created by Japanese professor Osaka Hiroshi Ishiguro, who has been creating realistic robots of the Geminoid, Kodomoroid, Otoneroid and other series for a very long time. Having made a lot of mistakes on past creations, Osaka took into account the experience gained and created a new android that already looks hyper-realistic. The girl has a very real body, although she herself cannot move like people yet. Researchers have significantly improved the robot's speech and provided it with an additional communication capability, which can be described by the term body language. This made Ameca more pleasant in communication, which no longer created the feeling that you were talking to a soulless iron. She is able to turn her head to the beat of speech, feel the presence of a person, conduct conversations on a number of simple topics, including answering questions. Interestingly, Ameca can already react to nonverbal language, certain gestures from a person, intonation, behavior, on the basis of which the android corrects its further conversation. Naturally, a certain woodiness does not go anywhere, because it is still an imperfect robot. What can Ameca do now? For example, to work as a receptionist. Harmony is a pleasure robot from the USA. Yes, that's what you thought. Harmony is created for this. Its creator, Matt McMullen, went to this creation for 20 years. The girl has a gorgeous figure, can discuss music, art, joke and generally maintain a fairly intellectual conversation. It is able to remember simple information about its owner, for example, his date of birth, name and so on. Harmony has a sufficiently developed facial expressions, blinks, smiles, frowns. But she can't walk on her own, since the introduction of this function will make the android fabulously expensive and will not pay for the project at all. It's better to watch the video with Ameca once to understand how realistic she is. Who can Harmony work with? She is an ideal companion for a certain type of people who appreciate complete obedience in a companion and easy accessibility. Sophia is a gynoid from Hong Kong. Sophia is a humanoid robot in the form of a woman, developed by the Hong Kong company Hanson Robotics. It was designed in such a way as to learn and adapt to people's behavior, as well as work with them as a consultant, advisor. Of course, it's a stretch to call Sophia a beauty, but given the small number of such creatures, among others, she is still pretty. Gynoid actively participates in public life, participates together with the creators in scientific conferences, political and cultural events. And in 2017, she becomes a citizen of Saudi Arabia and the first robot to receive citizenship of any country. Sophia is smart enough. A powerful artificial intelligence built into its body is responsible for this. It can analyze visual information such as faces, facial expressions, movements. The interlocutor can talk to her on preset topics. But the most interesting thing is that Sophia can perfectly imitate up to 60 human emotions. The robot uses alphabet speech recognition technology and is getting smarter every time. How? Yes, it's just that the software analyzes the conversations with Sophia and corrects further conversations, taking into account the mistakes of the past. The Indian Space Research Organization has shown for the first time a prototype of a semi-humanoid robot, which is planned to be sent into space as part of the ambitious National Gaganyaan program, the Times of India reports. The humanoid robot is called VM Mitra and Mitra. According to VM Mitra herself, she is able to simulate the activities of astronauts, conduct a conversation and answer questions. As explained by ISRO scientist Sam Dial, VM Mitra is considered only half humanoid, since she has no legs, she can only bend sideways and forward. The robot will conduct experiments and maintain communication with the command center, the representative of the Indian Space Agency added. A female robot is planned to be sent into space at the end of 2020. This launch will mark the first unmanned flight of the Indian Gaganyaan spacecraft as part of the program of the same name. The second unmanned launch with the Mitra rocket on board is scheduled for June 2021, and Indian astronauts can go directly to orbit before the beginning of 2022. Our country has achieved great success in space. But our scientists have a dream. In 2022, when the 75th anniversary of independence approaches, an Indian, no matter whether it is a man or a woman, will go into space with a tricolor flag in his hands, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in 2018. Russia also volunteered to help in the implementation of these plans and the training of Indian cosmonauts. 4 male pilots have already joined the Gaganyaan launch mission, and the geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle Mark E launch vehicle, which will take them into space, has previously carried out 3 successful launches. Some argue that gynoids were often depicted as sexual objects. Female cyborgs have also been used in fiction, in which natural bodies are modified to become objects of fantasy. The female robot in visual media has been described by Stephen Heller as the most visible link between technology and sex. Feminist critic Patricia Meltzer writes in the book Alien Constructions, Science Fiction and Feminist Thought, that the gynoids in Richard Calder's Dead Girls are inextricably linked to male lust and are mainly intended as sexual objects that have no use other than satisfying men's violent sexual desires. The gynoid character Eva from the film Eve of Destruction has been described as literally a sex bomb, with her subordination to patriarchal authority and a bomb instead of reproductive organs. In the 1949 film The Perfect Woman, the titular robot Olga is described as having no sex, but Steve Chibnall writes in his essay, Strange Women, in British science fiction cinema that it is clear from her fetishistic underwear that she was created as a toy for men, with an implicit fantasy of being completely obedient in the movie, The World of the Wild West. Female robots actually had sexual intercourse with human men within the framework of an imaginary recreation world, for which human clients paid to visit. Sexual interest in gynoids and fembots is explained by the fetishization of technology and is compared to sadomasochism in the sense that it reorganizes the social risk of sex. The image of female robots minimizes the threat that men feel from female sexuality, and allows to erase any social interference in the erotic enjoyment of the viewer from the image. Gynoid fantasies are created and collected by online communities centered around chat rooms and website galleries. Isaac Asimov writes that his robots were generally sexually neutral and that giving most male names was not an attempt to comment on gender. He first wrote about female robots at the request of editor Judy Lynn Del Rey. Early models in Women's Intuition were female caricatures that were used to emphasize the reaction of their human creators to the idea of female robots. Later models lost their distinctly feminine features, but retained the atmosphere of femininity. Thanks for watching. Put likes and subscribe to the channel.